Hey everyone, it's Leah Nepp. Welcome back to DIY Beauty on Purpose. So today I am bringing you a thrift store makeover with this piece of wood that was $1.99 at the Goodwill. I'm not sure if it was a tray or a shelf, but whatever it was, I am so excited to show you what I did with it. Before we move on to the actual project, I want to tell you about my friend Kristen at Kristen Kay. She has a channel filled with tons of inspiration with DIYs, hauls, cleaning, reviews, and so much more, guys. Check out her video down below if you do not know her yet. You're going to love her DIYs. She has a lot of farmhouse, Dollar Tree, trash to treasure kind of videos, and you will not be disappointed. Check her out. I have her link to her channel in the description box below. When you're done here, click on that and show her some love. Tell her that you came from my channel, that I sent you, and I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed. All right, guys, so here we are. I am going to measure the inside of this tray. I'm going to call it tray for now because I want to create a kind of like a skeleton piece for the inside of it, and I need to make sure that it's going to fit inside. I want to make this, or I want to turn this into a side table, and I know it's kind of small and kind of narrow, but that's exactly what I need for the side of my sofa. My sofa is in the middle of the living room, and so you have people walking behind it and on the side of it, but that is the side that I sit on. You know how we all have like a side that we sit on. Well, the side that I sit on, I have nowhere to place like a cup or my phone, so I am looking for a little side table, and that's what this is going to be. So after I have my measurements, I went outside to the miter saw and I cut a 1x2, and this is going to be the kind of like the frame for the inside of the tray, where the tray is going to sit. So I'm using the miter saw, and I'm going to cut two longer sides, and then of course the shorter sides so that I can create the frame for the inside. So there you have the 4 pieces. I'm just kind of dry fit them to make sure they fit. And I am going to be using for the entire project wood glue and my nailer gun. So if you do not have these, the wood glue is very inexpensive. The nailer could be a little expensive. I do have everything linked in my Amazon store down below if you want to check it out. However, you could use regular nail and a hammer. So don't worry about not having a electric nailer. So here I am. Again, I'm just going to use my nailer to nail 2 nails on each end. So I have one attached, and I'm kind of leaving it in real time here, guys, so that you can see how quickly. I know that sometimes, well, a lot of times I do put things in like a fast motion to save you time, but here throughout this video I'm going to leave things as much as possible in real time so that you can kind of see how quickly sometimes things can go even in real time. So once again, just adding that last piece, and I'm going to do the same thing and add 2 nails on each side. So now I have the rectangle frame there, and the tray was actually bigger on one end than the other, so I did have to make separate little measurements, but it fits pretty good. I'm very happy with how it turned out. So now I took a 1x4 and I cut 4 pieces at 19 inches long using my miter saw as well. And the reason why they're 19 inches is I want the table to be 20 inches high So I took in consideration the thickness of the tray, and so that was just about an inch here or there. So I cut each of these legs, which are going to be the legs of the table, to 19 inches long. I'm doing the same process. I'm going to add wood glue on both ends that are going to be touching the frame, and then I'm going to secure them. I'm going to put 4 brad nails on the wider side, and of course there I am losing power with my battery. Of course, right? So I go and put in a new battery. So I put 4 brad nails on the wider side of the wood to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I put 2 on the thinner side of the leg. And then I do the same thing on the other 3 sides, but I'm only going to show you one more side, and then the other 2 I don't, because it's the same process. All right, so now I measured the inside of each side, so that way I know how wide each opening is in between the legs. And I cut 2 pieces of 1x4s to fit inside the legs. I wanted the legs to be a bit more sturdy, so adding a piece would do that. So now what I'm doing is I'm deciding if I wanted to have it like long ways like this or sideways, and I ended up deciding for it to go sideways. I just thought it looked a little better aesthetic wise, but it would have done the same job. It would have provided stability. So I'm going to measure 5 inches on each leg. That way I know that the both center pieces are going to be leveled, or at least at eye level when you look at it. And again, I'm just going to use wood glue and secure them with brad nails. And I'm just making sure that I place it right where I marked the 5-inch mark. And I'm going to secure it on the other side as well. This one was a little wider. Remember, I told you that one side of the tray was bigger, so this side was just a tiny bit, not much, but about maybe 1/4 of an inch wider. So I did have to make it a little wider, but no big deal. And then again, I'm just securing it there. So the frame is pretty much done. I just have to start painting it. So I am going to paint the bottom white using Rustoleum chalk paint and the linen white. And I gave everything 2 coats. Honestly, this was the longest thing that it took because it had all the legs, and you got to paint on the inside, on the bottom, and all that good stuff. So I'm using my chippy brush, and I've contemplated distressing the tape or the bottom. So before I painted it, I would have had to like stain it a darker color so that when I distress the white, you would see that dark tone. But then I decided not to. I decided to keep it just solid white, because the top the tray I'm going to leave as is, just like you saw the wood earlier. And I just thought that looked rustic and farmhouse enough. So I decided to keep the bottom just solid white. in here, I'm just finishing up my first coat. And then I won't show you the second coat because it would be the same thing. But basically, it took me about, I don't know, maybe about 8 minutes, 10 minutes to do like each coat. Doesn't take too long, but longer than you would think for something so small. Before we move on to the tray portion, I want to tell you about my very new channel, Beauty on Purpose at Home. This is a brand new channel that I just created. I just posted my first video last week, and I wanted to tell you to check it out. I have the link down below in the description box. This channel will be dedicated mostly on cleaning, organizing, and decorating tips and inspiration. So if you're into that, I invite you to check it out so we can connect there as well. All right, so moving on to the tray. So now I am just using a 120 grit sandpaper and my electric sander. Not doing much here, like not much force to the sander. I just want to smooth it out. Believe it or not, even though this tray looked very, very, like the surface looked very rough and textured, it was very textured, but it was actually pretty smooth. So what I'm doing is just smoothing it out a little bit more, removing any little tiny splinter that it may have, and then just dusting it very well. Like I said, I'm not going to paint this. I'm going to leave it just as is. I thought it just had a beautiful texture, beautiful color. And in the future, maybe I can, I want to paint it, then I'll paint it. But for now, I'm just going to add this stencil here. It's a stencil that I have used over and over again on my channel. And I'm going to use Rustoleum chalk paint and the linen white. And I'm going to use a sponge brush. I tried to start it with the smaller letters there, but the sponge brush was not doing its job there. So I then moved on to a bristle brush. That worked better for the smaller, thinner letters. But then for the bigger ones, I did move on to the sponge brush. And that's it. I did one coat, and it was very lightly because I'm going to be keeping it just distressed. The top, I want it to be looking a little distressed. So I'm not focusing on full coverage for the stencil. Alright, so now onto the sides of the tray. I am going to keep this as a tray, so I'm going to add some handles to the sides using these pipe brackets. And I have had these for a while, for so long, honestly, like it's probably been a year now. I used them for a side table makeover that I did. So I marked where the 2 little holes would be at, and now I'm pre-drilling some holes so that the screw goes in smooth. This tray is actually very solid wood, so I wanted to pre-drill the holes, and just using my drill to secure them. I'm going to add rope as the handles. Now this side table is going to be a convertible side table because it's going to be in the living room, so it's going to serve as my side table, but at the same time it's going to have where the tray I can lift up and flip it over and turn it into a serving tray. So if I want to, have some appetizers or something on it and then serve with it and put it back on it, we can do that. So I'll show you in the pictures at the end. You'll see how it looks on both ways. So again, I'm just securing the 2 brackets. This is the rope. The rope is on the thinner side. Ideally, I would have had a thicker one, but so what I did was I knotted it once, and then I made another knot on top of the knot. So not on the side like you see there. I want it to be right on top of the first knot, and that will give it a very thick knot so it doesn't pull through the bracket, because the bracket is one of the, a little bit larger than the thickness of the rope. But I made it work. I just gave it two knots. And I did that on both sides, on all 4 corners. I just made sure that I left enough to create the handle portion of it. And this is rope from the Dollar Tree. All right, so now that I have both handles done, I wanted to actually distress a little bit more the stencil. It was already distressed, but I just wanted it to have a little bit more distress. So I'm using my 1 or 220 grit sandpaper and my electric sander to give it a little bit more of a distressed look. And we're basically done, guys. I am going to finalize things putting on these felt pads underneath. They come in a circle. I just cut them in half because the bottom of the legs are thinner. There you have it. Look how cute, guys. Seriously. I mean, this was $1.99. I already had the 1x4s, but the 1x4s are not too expensive at the hardware store. Made some cuts, and now I have this cute little custom side table, and I just think it looks so adorable. And I'm going to show you a shot here what it looks like right next to the couch. And I think it's just perfect size for it. So happy with the way it turned out. Guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so. If you're coming new from Kristin's channel, welcome. And I hope that you enjoy this video, and I hope you consider subscribing and joining my YouTube family. And if you're returning, thank you again for coming by and watching, and thank you for your support. And don't forget to visit Kristin's channel on the description box below. And don't forget to visit my new channel, which is also in the description box. And there's what it looks like under or side of my couch. All right, guys, have a blessed day.